Johannesburg, South Africa. The marketplace for all kinds of contraband. This is a sting operation to catch a big-time ivory smuggler, part of a 5 billion a year trade. The middleman has lured the smuggler to this warehouse with several large tusks and weapons. Since 1989, there has been a worldwide embargo on all trade of unworked rhino horn and ivory. The ban was imposed by CITES, the Convention on the Trade of Endangered Species. Recently, CITES voted to loosen the ban. 3 southern African countries may now sell ivory to Japan from their excess elephant herds. But opponents argue that even a limited trade in ivory may put the species at risk once again. Here in South Africa, there are actually too many elephants for the land available. Some elephants are culled to save their habitat. These excess herds are a sign of the Africa-wide recovery in elephant populations. And when locals profit from the products derived from culled animals, they have an incentive to help conserve populations. A goodwill gesture in countries where the elephant has started to compete with man for water and arable land.
They first give us elephants, now they give us this meat. So we are so happy about it because it's for the first time having such thing.
South Africa's Kruger Park is bigger than Israel and contains 90% of the country's elephants. Frustrated by the CITES embargo on wildlife trade, the Kruger Park is now sitting on a stockpile of around 3,000 tusks. It wants to sell off this ivory and pass the profits on to locals.
Because of international CITES agreement, we cannot make use of what we have. I believe that the West is trying to impose its will, its ethics on South Africa, on Africa, and I think that is not justified. I feel that we have every right, where we properly control populations, to make use of those populations.
Conservation can be a messy business. Impalas are breeding so fast on the park's borders that 1,000 were earmarked for culling. Working by night, the gamekeepers got to 400 when word came from the top to halt the program. The official reason? Unsightly trails of blood might upset the tourists.
That's something that nobody likes doing. We've got to do it because the veld has a specific carrying capacity. It can only maintain a certain amount of animals. And in order to maintain a natural balance, or as natural balance as we can, it is necessary to cull on occasions.
The conservation world is also divided on the merits of culling excess herds. Some groups see this practice as totally barbaric.
Elephants really are the most amazing creatures. They have highly developed social structures, intense family lives. When we go in there with guns blazing, we're committing genocide. And when we talk about management techniques, harvesting, culling, we forget that these are living creatures and who grieve.
Such protest has prompted the Kruger Park to try giving contraceptive injections to keep elephant populations under control. But this method too is highly controversial. Man should not, perhaps, play God with nature.
We are crazy to think that it is a lesser evil to manipulate wild animals' hormones than to merely shoot a certain number per year.
Many conservationists fear that easing the ban on ivory trade means that poaching will once again soar. Effective anti-poaching units in South Africa, like in Zimbabwe, are responsible for stable elephant populations. Here in the Kruger Park, just 9 trackers comb 100,000 hectares, finding 60 poachers' traps a month. These wire nooses offer an unpleasant death, taking days to kill an animal.
The snares are indiscriminate. They catch anything that walks into them. They've caught lions, they've caught buffalo, they've caught rhinos. They've even removed the half the trunk of an elephant.
Ironically, these poachers have trapped an impala, so overpopulous in the park. Tracking them is a costly and painstaking business. It can take days to catch them in the act, but it is also dangerous. Poachers of rhino and elephants often come armed with AK-47s and even rocket-propelled grenades. Two crooks escape, but one is arrested, ticked off and questioned as to his motives.
Jimmy in the kamle modot.
Nalo Abela, nalo Eric.
Abela nale Eric. They say they sell the meat so that they can buy food and cigarettes.
The poacher is made to drag his catch back for the gamekeepers to roast. Because he was hunting for food, he will probably get off with a whipping from his chief. But sometimes the meat is not the objective, just the tusks, which fetch a big price in Asia. Poachers' sentences depend entirely on what is being hunted. The army helps to catch the butcher of this elephant, who can expect up to 20 years in prison. Man has always been the most dangerous beast in the bush, and not just thanks to poaching. Human development encroaches on valuable land, tourism affects animals' behavior, and persistent licensed hunting can take its toll. Meanwhile, nature has its own way of controlling populations. Conservation efforts have always inspired passion, perhaps never more so than when Kenya's President Moi set a stockpile of several thousand tusks ablaze. The owner of this park believes that we will never find a balance with nature if we let our own emotions rule.
We have a Spanish client who has a CITES permit, who has paid for an elephant hunt, but he doesn't want to shoot the elephant, he just wants the tusks. So we said, can we buy the tusks from the Kruger Park? And they blatantly said to us, no ways. We said, but this is ridiculous. That means I have to go out and shoot an elephant to send the tusks to Europe. You guys have got stockpiles of thousands of tusks in your storerooms. Just sell us 2. They wouldn't do it.
But with the selling of stockpiles now once again possible, perhaps Moi regrets that he let $3 million worth of tusks go up in smoke.